I wanted to do a post-fight video, Joseph Parker versus Jason Pettaway. First things first, thanks very much to Copend, who commented with a link to the fight on my pre-fight prediction video, so I was able to watch it. I've now seen the full fight. For those who don't know, it ended with Joseph Parker scoring a 4th round KO against Jason Pettaway. Now, I've been doing videos on Joseph Parker for a little bit of time, and even though I've been on the bandwagon in terms of supporting him and being a fan of his for quite some time, I expressed a few concerns, specifically around the time when he was fighting Sherman Williams. I speculated that at that time Parker was too open defensively. Parker was getting caught by sort of slow looping hooks by a journeyman fighter like Sherman Williams. Parker was getting sucked into a war with that level of opponent and giving up his boxing skill and his advantages, to go into the trenches and have a brawl with these guys. And I said that what I'd really like to see is Parker not be rushed. He's extremely young for a heavyweight. He's got a bright future. He's got a lot of time. Let's not rush him. Let's not push him too far too soon. Let's keep him at that sort of level of opponent for a little bit of time. Since then, we've seen Parker fight Irinu Bito Costa Jr., who was recently out against David Price. We've seen Parker now face Jason Pettaway. For me, both of those performances have really shown an improvement in Joseph Parker. The main reason being, and I think this was very clear from the Pettaway fight, there's a certain coolness and a certain calmness to Parker's work that I didn't see in his earlier fights. Parker took care of business against Jason Pettaway, and he did it clinically. He didn't abandon his boxing game. He didn't get involved into a barroom brawl style fight. He didn't leave himself open defensively and lose his discipline. It was cool, it was collected, it was calculated, and at its best it was really impressive. Parker came out, fought behind a jab, double up his jab, through combinations, working off the jab, then dropping down a level, going to the body. And there's so much to like in Parker. I say this when I talk about Tyson Fury. And whilst they're very different fighters, there's some similarities there. Both guys have excellent hand speed for their size. Both guys don't neglect to punch to the body. Both guys throw punches in bunches, which is rare for the heavyweight division. And Parker hits with immense power. This was very, very obvious from the Pettaway fight. He was able to drop Pettaway in the 3rd and finish him in the 4th with body shots. In the Bito Costa Jr. fight, we saw him absolutely ice Costa Jr. out with a headshot, devastating KO. Parker is a real big puncher. Now, Pettaway, he's someone I haven't seen a lot of, but I have seen him fight before. And the thing that had impressed me about him was his movement. He was able to dance around the ring at pace, present a moving target. And what impressed me was how Parker was just able to walk him down. Parker was able to sort of control him with his movement. Parker was able to push him back with a double jab. And really, when Parker turned on the gas, Pettaway couldn't live with it. Now, Pettaway is no world beater. Bito Costa Jr. is certainly no world beater. But I think this represents the completion of Parker's apprenticeship. As I said, I was calling for him to stay at the same level of opposition at the time he was facing Sherman Williams. I think now the time is for him to move on. The time is for him to fight someone better than Costa Jr., better than Jason Pettaway, because the weaknesses in Parker's game seem to have slightly dissipated. The defensive frailties, the lack of discipline, the tendency to get sucked into a brawl. These concerns that I've had about Parker are becoming less obvious. He seems to be fighting with more composure, more discipline. He seems to be more calculated. As I say, there's a calmness to his work. And I think that's a really, really good sign. I think it's time to move him up a level in terms of opposition. Now, there's guys out there who, are solid, durable guys like Fraser Quendo, Kevin Johnson, who bring a combination of skill set and durability. That's an interesting matchup. Obviously guys like Kevin Johnson, these days they don't come to win. But I think it's an interesting test for Joseph Parker, because it's a guy who's going to take Parker the distance. It's a guy who's going to again test his stamina, give him those much needed rounds, pose him defensive questions. But at the same time, it's not a guy who's going to, necessarily come to beat Parker and to take his record. I think guys like that represent a real good quality of opponent. I also think guys like Alex Leapai, we recently saw him, he's coming off losses to Klitschko and to Malik Scott. Potentially he needs a fight to get himself back in the mix. There's a number of names like that can make interesting matchups. I know people talk about the Lucas Brown fight, but it sounds like he's on the verge of fighting Ruslan Chagayev, so that may not be an option. But I think it's time to step up the level of opposition. And I'm not talking world beaters, I'm not suggesting at this point we throw him in with a top 10 heavyweight. But I think it's time for Parker to face someone who's a top 40 heavyweight, a top 50 heavyweight. Manuel Charr, Andre Rudenko, Fraser Quendo, Kevin Johnson, Alex Leapai. Someone of that ilk. Someone who you'd take to beat Costa Jr. Someone who perhaps you'd take to beat Jason Pettaway. Perhaps even Christian Hamer, the guy Tyson Fury beat up the other day. Someone like that. Someone with a bit more experience and a bit more offensive capability than Pettaway and Costa Jr. Let's start to move Joseph Parker up the rankings. He's improving a lot. His combinations, his hand speed, his movement, his boxing skill, that's always been there. But the frailties are starting to become less obvious. And he's an exciting talent. It's exciting times indeed for Joseph Parker. Let's move him in the right direction. I hope that, there are some big opponents out there for him in 2015. I know the commentary team said he plans to fight 5 times in 2015, so hopefully we'll hear on opponents sooner rather than later. If anyone's got any rumours that they've heard on who's going to be next, please do comment below. Thanks for watching.